I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show we have Jamie Jackson, the Chief Creative Officer from Mythical Games. Jamie, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm excited to have Mythical Games back on so soon. We had some other guys on from your team recently, and I really like what your team is working on in the crossover for gaming and the Web3 space, and some major partnerships that they were discussing last time that I think are really coming into fruition. I'm excited to dive in today with you on those. I would love for the viewers who didn't see our last interview just hear a little bit at the top level on what Mythical Games is working on, and then we'll dive into all those details.
Yeah, sure. So, Mythical Games, we're about 4 years old now. We just turned 4 recently, and we got into the space because we felt, a lot of us here have been in the games industry for quite a long time, and we just felt that bringing blockchain into the games industry was a really interesting paradigm to kind of just change that kind of fundamental players like owning something, right? Like having some reward for everything they do. So that's the kind of really high level, but what we're doing is we're building a platform so that other developers can come in and add blockchain to the games and add marketplaces and everything like that. So kind of taking all the hard work out of it, because games are hard to make anyway. And then the other part of our business is actually making games. So, biggest one that's out in the market at the moment is Blanco's Block Party. Built that one from the ground up with blockchain in mind. And then, soon to be released, and we're super excited about, is our partnership with the NFL. We've got the Road to League collection, which also ties into NFL Rivals, the game. I think we dropped some footage recently, so really excited to see how people are receiving that. And then following on from that quite quickly is going to be Nitro Nation World Tour, drag racing game, which again we're super excited about. Very cool. And yeah, I saw the announcement for the NFL Rivals. That sounds like a huge partnership and game to be making. The audience for the NFL is at least a few tens of millions. So that could be exciting when you merge Web3 with that. And last time we spoke with the team, it was around Blanco's game that the first game that you guys created. Sounds like it's pretty successful. What do you think Mythical Games does differently, or especially to sort of make the games fun and have users return to the game, but also fit that blockchain stuff in there and balance that with a fun game experience? I think what we do here, it's been kind of our number one philosophy since the beginning, is you've still got to make good games, right? Like, gamers want to play good games. There's 2 billion gamers in the world roughly, and we're slowly but surely introducing them to the concept of like Web3 blockchain, and it's been a bit tense recently, right? There's an education process, and the bottom line is those gamers are only going to get interested or work with this technology if the game's fun, and that's kind of how we start. We just start from making good games. How do we make an interesting game? What's cool about it? For us, it's not about trying to build super complex. What I would maybe see in other Web3 products is this kind of super complex economy mechanics. If you haven't got a fun game at the beginning, your economy mechanics doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, right? If your game sucks, it sucks. So for us, it's about making things fun right from the beginning, and that was what was exciting about teaming up with the NFL. Was you look at NFL, you look at other NFL brands that have been in the gaming space that have been around for since I was getting into games as a kid, single-digit kid. That they've been around for forever, and as you said, it's a huge audience. It's a very sort of audience, but it is known globally as well, which is very exciting. And then taking something that already has its own set of rules, like the game of football already had its own set of rules, which is really interesting. So then taking that, and what we're doing with Rivals is creating more of an RPG type element to it in terms of the gameplay, but also the management element as well, right? So managing your teams, ripping packs to get different players, being able to level those players up as well, so you can continually improve your team. But then also the thing that I always refer to as thumbs on sticks, your thumbs on sticks gameplay, that's the piece that truly connects you to the game. That's what gets through. and it's been really fun working on Rivals, and then also working on a phone as the device, as that kind of main platform, and trying to create something that's it needs to be. We want to kind of be wider up the funnel than a lot of other NFL products in terms of bringing in newer audiences, having something that's kind of twitchy but fun, not too deep. Right, it doesn't need to be. We're not a simulator. And then, but still appeal to that NFL hardcore fan, right? Something that they can pick up and play for 5 or 10 minutes, play a few games, and then carry on with the day, and then come back later on, manage their team, check out how everyone's doing, go back, play a few more games. But really, it keeps coming back down. The game's not fun. It doesn't matter what's in it. No one's going to give a rat's butthole.
Definitely, and having this partnership with NFL is going to be huge to bring in new people into Web3. And I feel like also, every year and for the past decades, there's always like that yearly, the new NFL game, the new soccer game, the new basketball game, and all those avid fans are always playing that. But with the introduction of more mobile gaming, it's more casual. You can like jump in and just play, and you don't have to like sit down for an hour in front of your PlayStation at the TV and really get into it. You can sort of just do it quickly. How do you and your team approach NFL Rivals and sort of differentiating it while like taking into account the mobile aspect, but also the Web3 aspect and the crypto aspect that really hasn't been there before?
I mean, there's two parts to that question, which ultimately come together to make one game, right? One is how do you deal with the gameplay, and we deal with the gameplay the same we would any other game. Like we're not trying to change that, right? That if you think about, I think the phrase I heard a while ago was, mobile gaming loops should take as long as it takes you to get a coffee at Starbucks, right? So it's giving you that 1 to 2 minute little break from being stood in line, right? So that principle doesn't really change. Finding fun within that space of time, that's still the same thing. And then rewarding as well. Like a big thing about games is you got to like reward the player, like whether that's visually with like loads of cool effects, whatever. If you do something cool, you should feel like you did something cool. If you did something that sucked, you should feel like, oh, that sucked and I want to do better. So like all of those cool kind of principles remain the same. I think, how do you bring the Web3 in, with the blockchain in? For me, the way we win with bringing blockchain into games is we stop calling it blockchain. Like we stop, it doesn't, calling it out currently is a barrier. I think the thing that we really care about Mythical, you kind of look at how you sign in for a product with us, it's the barrier to entry is the same as signing up for an Epic Games Store pass or a Steam account, right? It's really easy to do. Gamers are used to the level of complexity that we put in front of them, or lack of, if you like, or of ease of use, that they're used to that. So I think that's one thing. Teaching them about the big part is teaching players about ownership of digital assets and what that means, right? You own this versus, hey, you've got it in your account, but behind the scenes you just got a license to it, and by the way, you can't do anything with it. Like that's the big thing. I think if we keep just saying blockchain, no one's going to, like, those 2 billion games aren't really going to get that. So for us, it's about communication, right? People get that they have these inventories. That's something that's really common to a gamer since the ends of time. Teaching them that it's actually their inventory and there's a really easy space for them to go and trade and sell that's been one of our goals, right? So if you look at like when you go and sell anything to the Mythical marketplace, it's really easy. Safety and ease is what has been our biggest thing. There's a grey market that exists in video games already of people selling their accounts through other platforms, right, which is technically illegal. And it's hard to do, and you've got to have this trust element of someone's going to spend money and then you're going to send them an account or vice versa, right? It's a whole world of trust, and people get screwed over all the time. What we're doing is changing that and saying it's safe, it's transactions happened, and it's really just driving people to that. So for me, it's the communication piece. Games, the fundamental change that blockchain is going to do to normal games is allowing people to own something and to put tens of hours into a game, pay money into it, or grind to assets, and when they're done with it, there's a place for them to sell that inventory and return for it, right? And if that happens to be crazy return because there's some cool rare item and somebody wants to buy it, that's a win. But if I put $100 into a game and when I'm done with it, I can sell it and get $70 back. I'm like, that's never existed in video games, and that's pretty rad.
Definitely, and I like that differentiation, understanding that, you know, what good is blockchain if you can't extract value or add value to your life? And of course, it's fun to play the games, but you know, I'm sure you're well aware, and I'm well aware from my days before crypto, playing, you know, months and months worth of games and really getting nothing out of it at the end of the day. You know, maybe selling your account on some sketchy third-party place for 50 bucks, and there's no like common place to do that, and there was no selling individual assets, or, you know, having different kind of tokenized assets that you were able to sell on a decentralized marketplace that you knew you were going to get the funds for. I feel like this is a game changer in the technology. And with NFL Rivals, how does that work? What kind of digital assets do the people collect, and then how do they extract them through some kind of mythical marketplace?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two places. So one is the Rarity League helmet collection. We launched the first two teams recently, and then on the 15th of next month, we're going to be doing the next drop, where we'll release all the teams. So those are NFT assets, and what they do is they essentially give you ownership of a clan. Like, so you get, you know, I'm a Seahawks fan, right? So I'm going to go buy a Seahawks helmet. It means I get Seahawks clan, and that gives me access to all these different, like, clan versus clan leagues, all kinds of different competition. Everyone that becomes part of my clan, they're going to get access to those things ahead of somebody else as well. You know, when we're winning as a clan, we're going to get access to player cards that and I'll get to the player card piece in a minute, but player cards that go into our teams that haven't dropped yet, and all that kind of good stuff. So, and lots more to talk about as we get towards launching there. And then in the game itself, there's two paths. One path is you've got your kind of non-NFT path, which is just your kind of free-to-play, build a team, grind, you know, get players, whatever. They look like they're kind of cool-looking cards with like some fun effects on them and stuff like that. So you can build your team out, and there's a rarity scope through those as well. But then you can also get into the NFT ones. So those ones just look better than everything else as well. Mm-hmm. They'll have different effects to the actual players on the pitch. Not necessarily from a like skill point of view, but definitely visually, and from a rarity and scarcity point of view. And then that has its own rarity and kind of, you know, traditional kind of card game mechanics, kind of stuff going on there. So you have all of that, and you can build those. You know, you can build your team however you want, right? So anyone that sort of wants to get to the ones that are going to have monetary value, they're going to definitely spend time in the NFT space, right, and the blockchain space, buying, collecting those and trading those. And then, you know, from a game point of view, we're going to have a really cool live ops team. There's going to be new challenges and stuff to do, so there's going to be new reasons to go and get different cards. We're doing something really cool with signatures, which we'll talk about much later on. But there's going to be a cool signature thing we're doing with players. Yeah, and that's it. So you know, it's all about building your team, collecting the best team, and then continue playing the game and adjusting that team to keep up with everybody else's teams. Because in Rivals, you and I would play each other. We'd play each other's teams and team lineups and stuff like that. So, and you know, we're going to be able to go backwards and forwards. So, you know, if you play me and I beat you, you're probably going to want to come back and get that back, and we'll come backwards and forwards. Building your teams like you would in any other kind of sports game.
Very fun. And do you think, you know, how much extra value and long-term longevity do you think having a game like NFL Rivals and you know, tying that to the NFL and like this avid fan base, as opposed to a game like Blanco or, you know, some of these other NFT games? There's a lot popping up, but I feel like it's hard for, you know, 5-10 years down the road to sort of retain value in those assets. Whereas in NFTs in general, not just in games, but in digital collectibles, we're seeing some of these major companies come in and produce digital collectibles like for Disney or some of these major sports leagues that could still have value, you know, decades down the road. Do you think that that's going to be a major differentiator in sort of the long-term value creation for NFL Rivals?
Yeah, I do, and I think that we think about that for all of our products as well. You know, we think about what does this look like. You know, how do I get value and joy? How do I get joy? Right, because video games ultimately are about joy. So how do I extract joy from this late down the line? And I think one of the interesting things of the kind of NFT art collections, it is, like, you know, if you're into art, it's a cool way to continually look at something that you know, like I grew up pretty poor, so I would cut magazine covers up and then put them in frames or stick them to my wall because the artwork was cool, right? So like however you view it, that becomes kind of neat. So I think that will always happen regardless of the project. I think in terms of rivals, you know, these are digital player cards, right? Like the sports card market, the in real life one is massive, right? Like baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, Pokemon cards, you know, any type of card thing that in real life there's a huge collector market. And that's what I think is exciting about these type of games now, and that's what we're building, is we're taking that from like a, you know, flat 2D thing in your hand, and we're turning it into this cool digital, like using all of the skill sets that we've had for years of, you know, things just look a lot cooler. And you know, I think as we start to display and we look at things in different ways, we've got our device which is perfect for viewing cards on all the time. So I think that value will always exist, right? I think that will always exist, because this is the new card collectibles of players. And you know, we've all got our favorite. You know, I'm a big soccer fan. One of my favorite players when I was a kid was a guy called Ian Rush. Played at Liverpool, played for Wales, first Welshman to leave England and go and play in a sports league in Spain. Like, I have a card signed by him when I was 11. One of my coolest possessions, right? So, you know, these things are gonna that will happen for the new generation of like Gen Zs. They don't give a rat's butthole about paper stuff, right? Like, no one does. Yeah. So I think that will absolutely exist, and I think that will be what the longevity of all of these things is. And I do mean all of them. I think, you know, if you think about where else we're going to see cool use of blockchain, pick any shooter, right? And you go get a cool gun and it becomes a legendary thing. 10 years down the line, you might want to still go back and look at that and have the memories attached to the time you spent with your buddies playing that game, right? So I think that's what it's all those different. There's so many different paradigms that attach to what we can be done with blockchain that got me excited about working in this space.
That is very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how that plays out, and hopefully, you know, this major congruence of Web3 into the mainstream and into major sports and into hundreds of millions of people. Now, can you explain exactly where you guys are at? And you mentioned, you know, sort of dropping the first teams, and I saw there's a trailer. So where you're at and where you're looking to be in the very near future?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, I think 15th of November, get ready, get the drop. You know, we're going to be releasing all the other helmets. I'm super excited about it. So that will be the helmet collection, right? And you can already go and check out the Rams and Bengals that we've already dropped. So the game's been in development for a while now. It's going really well. I'd love to just put you on my phone and show you. I just got a nice new phone the other day with a big screen, but I'll get you told off if I do that. It's really fun. The game, I'm really stoked with it. It's like, I've made games for 24 or 5 years. I can't remember. It's a long time. And throughout your time, you work on games where you genuinely can't put it down, right? And then sometimes you're really forcing yourself because you kind of, you know, you got to. You know, might not be totally in your wheelhouse, and you might not be there yet, and you just kind of like, oh, we've got to wait. Like, I play this game every single day at the moment, not just to kind of play it and feedback, but just like I genuinely can't put it down. So we're stoked for that. We can't wait to show more. The game will drop. Rivals will come. It'll actually be on full release early next year. If you actually have a helmet, though, if you buy into the Rarity League collection, you'll get access later this year into a private beta just for owners of the Rarity League, and that's where we'll be able to have everyone come in and start to play and really test it out and give us that great feedback, which is a good part of the Web3 space, right? Is that wonderful kind of community aspect that is very different outside of the Web3 space, because people are very invested in what you're doing, and you know, you still get everyone shout at you, which is whatever, but you also get, once you clear through the noise, right, there's some really good feedback, and it's a good place to be. So we'll be doing that later this year, but the game's looking great. We're really stoked.
Very exciting, Jamie. And for the viewers that want to check out that helmet NFT collection right now, and then follow along for the updates for the beta, if they get one of those, and for the full release, what's the best way for people to follow along with NFL Rivals and with Mythical?
Yeah, so a couple of places. So NFL Rivals, there's a couple of places. Go to rarityleague.com. That's where you can go and sign up. You can link through to our Discord community. You can sign up for email. That'll give you all the information you need. And you can actually do it on a team-by-team basis. So if you've got a specific team you care for, that'll give you all the information on Rarity League. If you go to NFL.rivals.com, that's going to give you everything you need to know about the game. You can follow through to the Discord there as well. And then another game which we didn't quite get a chance to touch on, but is our drag racing game, Nitro Nation World Tour. So talked about that. If you want to find out more there, go to nitronationworldtour.com. We've actually got a drop coming next month. We're going to be dropping garages, which is a really cool feature. You're going to be able to go in and get garages, which just gives you access to all kinds of time stuff. You'll be able to find out. We just dropped a trailer for that as well, so go see it. It's going to be a cool place to go and own some dope cars.
Very cool, Jamie. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to check it out. And I will put the links in the description box as well for the viewers below to get easy access to that. Thank you so much for your insights into everything Mythical Games is working on, and I'm excited to see this beta launch and the next stages of NFL Rivals. And I will put the links to the other games as well that Mythical is working on in the description box. And let's definitely follow up in the near future.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, Ashton. It's been fun.